Hello, Assembly DenDekker. Talk a little bit about the tax reform plan and some of the details and how it benefits the community and the state.
Well, that was actually a very comprehensive package that we're all extremely proud of. A good bill like that, you could tell was a good bill because it passed unanimously, and not everybody liked it. But there was enough in that bill for everyone to vote for it, and that's an important aspect. And I think that's a good sign of leadership that Governor Cuomo has been able to work with the Senate Republicans as well as the Assembly Democrats and bring us together and come up with a bill like this. So first of all, let's take a look at it. What it's going to do, it's going to, first of all, have a tax cut for what I like to call the working middle class. People earning between $20,000 a year and $150,000 a year are going to see a decrease in their taxes of 0.4%, which is almost a 0.5%. So I'm always happy when we can do something that's going to actually affect working men and women. On the flip side, it also asks some of the people that make a little bit more money to pay a little bit more. Now, of course, it's not everything that everyone wanted. Some people wanted the people that earn the most money to pay significant amounts more. This bill doesn't do that. It will have them pay less than what they were paying this year under the temporary millionaires tax that had been passed that was sunsetting December 31st, and this bill will take effect January 1st, but it will have them be paying substantially more than they would have paid had that tax law sunsetted. So for that aspect of it, it also serves another purpose. So altogether, the tax portion of the bill will generate revenue in the vicinity of $2.7 billion. Of the $2.7 billion, approximately $700 billion of it or so will go back to the middle class in the form of that tax cut. So in essence, we will net approximately $1.9 billion in new revenue. Which again, I think is a substantial amount of revenue, especially seeing the projections that we have now for next year, as well as not knowing what the federal government is going to do with their deficit package and how that funding may affect New York State. So we may have a larger deficit than what we were projected now because we really don't know until we see what our counterparts in the federal government actually do. Hopefully they'll look at a bill like we just did, where not everyone is happy, but there's something in it for everybody, where they'll be able to come up with some sort of compromise situation also. Other great benefits of this package that I had no problem voting for was the MTA payroll tax that will now exempt small businesses that make 1.25 million or have 1.25 million or less in payroll, which in my community is probably a large percentage of all my mom and dad storefronts on 37th Avenue, Roosevelt Avenue, etc. So these businesses are now going to save money in the form of not having to pay that payroll tax. Another significant portion of that was the exemption of the private primary and secondary schools, such as the Catholic schools and other charter schools and 4201 schools. So all of those schools that were already struggling with educational cuts and different appropriations in their spending, now we're going to have a little sigh of relief. Although it wasn't retroactive, which we were kind of hoping for, we wanted them to be able to go back to how the public schools were exempt. At least now, starting January 1st, they will no longer have to pay that tax. So we're very happy with that. Would we, as Democrats, like to have seen more? Definitely. We would have liked to see nonprofits included in that. Nonprofits that are getting funding from many of our city and state and federal entities are still subject to the payroll tax. However, if they have the payroll of 1.25 million or less annually, I believe they're still exempt under the small business aspect of it. So it's an interesting bill that had many good comprehensive factions in it that I believe brought everyone together and brought everyone to the table where they could vote for it. There is so much more to that bill, and we could spend so much more time talking about it. There was also parts of the bill that's going to help disadvantaged youth, different social programs that we as Democrats have been fighting for a long time, such as funding for summer youth, which will now be funded for 3 additional years. And there's also some other information in there for businesses that hire disadvantaged youth. They'll get a tax credit. And there's also money in there that's funding for our upstate partners that had so much damage due to the floods of the hurricane. So it's a very, very comprehensive bill, but I was very proud under the leadership of the governor and the speaker and the majority leader in the Senate to be able to work together and come up with a good bill. And I know some people feel it didn't go far enough, but I think it did enough good that you had to support it.